Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Friday edition of the DJ and Vish After Show. DJ, how's it going, my friend?
Fridays are rough, but I'm here and
Yeah,
I'm doing well. I'm doing very, very well.
I think we're all doing pretty damn well this morning. Wow. If you've recovered, I know some people are probably playing hurt this morning. Yeah, it is 8 a.m. The sun is just rising out here in Phoenix,
Yeah.
peeking through the clouds now. 10 a.m. on the East Coast, our normal time, different day, such as the weird college football playoff schedule. We're not going to talk about the Broadcasting Act of 1961 again on this show, though. So
No.
let's shout out our sponsor and get into this. Whoa, what a game, what a moment for Canes football here. But of course, our sponsor is 305-800-PAIN. After an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305-800-PAIN, you get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they are a brand you can trust. Much like 5 Reasons Canes, 305-800-PAIN is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle all your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305-800-PAIN. The number is the brand, 305-800-PAIN. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada a 305-800-PAIN, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación de A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305-800-PAIN tiene mucho en común con los 5 razones Canes. Están enfocados en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y el Florida del Sur. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidentes de carro, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305-800-PAIN. El número es el nombre de la marca, 305-800-PAIN. Well, DJ, it looked for a while in that fourth quarter like we might all be calling 305-800-PAIN, but fortunately, the boys came through. Got some people in the chat. Yeah, it does feel like a little bit of a dream sequence. Just awesome, yes. We're gonna talk about Shannon Dawson's. Man, there's a lot to unpack on this game, like how it was even competitive when the Canes were just, I mean, killing them and not scoring. We got a lot to talk about here, but DJ, what are your initial thoughts on that game?
We had a lot of the very worst habits that we had during the regular season come to light last night, and yet we still were able to pull it out. And it wasn't just some meaningless regular season game. This was a game to go to the national championship. So as much as I want to, sorry if we get demonetized, bitch and moan, I really can't, because they found a way, and that's all we want.
Yeah, and we obviously Mississippi Ole Miss is a great team. Shout out to Kubici, J Rock are some of our regulars.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, they're like, as much as Ole Miss is obviously a great team. The Canes, I mean, the amount of regret they would have had if they came up short here. The penalties were just egregious. I mean, he did it. I mean, he does it all the time. I cannot believe he jumped off sides against Stan. These dude lines up right over the ball. Probably largely led to their long touchdown run because it put us in a short yardage where we crowded the box instead of because we're trying to keep them short of the first down. They popped it. But and then the personal foul, there was that one possession with the multiple personal fouls, and just like all of the penalties that we cleaned up the first 2 games came flooding back.
I don't understand why, but
and then I'll tell you the new wrinkle was, I mean, the dropped interceptions. I have never seen anything like this. Like I mean, there've been so many regrets, but you know what? This is the reason this team is playing for a national championship is when one area struggles, the other end picks them up. And this time in that fourth quarter, the defense was gassed. We were down several cornerbacks, and like they could not stop Ole Miss, and the offense kept scoring touchdowns. And it's the exact opposite of the way this playoff started. And the offense stepped up and won the game when the defense could not get the stops. And that's the sign of a great team. And that's exactly what this is. They're playing for a championship for a reason. They overcame all of that, and they did it on what most people say is the weakness of this team. Carried them over the finish line. And that's a great team. That's what great teams look like.
Yeah, for sure. And it seemed like whenever they were faced with some adversity, like you mentioned, a punch was thrown and they punched back. And in previous times this season, earlier this season especially, penalties and whatever set them back. But now they've kind of, for better or for worse, learned to adjust to that type of adversity in the game, and they were able to overcome, especially offensively, with false starts and whatever. They've learned to not panic, keep things steady, and kind of just take it drive by drive. And that's exactly what they did. I thought Carson Beck played absolutely phenomenal, and I thought the running game and all those guys played great too. So they were able to kind of dig themselves out of their own holes, which is something that we haven't really seen. We didn't really see at times during the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of did, but we'll get into that. If you think about the losses and how close they were, I mean
That's true.
that this was, the last sequence against Louisville. If we punched in the end zone, instead of throwing the pick, then that's kind of similar to that. SMU, all sorts of officiating issues down the stretch. Speaking of that, Kenty's comment here. Let's just deal with this. That was not. If they're going to call pass interference, it's offsetting penalties on that. There's no way you can call pass interference on Ethan O'Connor and not call the receiver for shoving him in the face and pushing off to get separation, and then Ethan grabs him to stay with. That's hand fighting a lot, especially in Hail Mary situations. They're basically never going to call it. But if you wanted to say for the letter of the law, it's offsetting pass interference. And then they would have had another play, which obviously they would have preferred to the game being over. But there's no universe in which you can say we're going to ignore all the contact the receiver's making with O'Connor's face, with his body pushing off to get separation, and just call Ethan for grabbing him back when that's happening. You cannot do that. So that is, I mean, you're basically saying to ignore penalties by one player that result in a penalty being committed on him by another player and only call one of them. You can't do that. So yeah, I think it's a fake controversy, frankly, because we always got to complain about something. You could see on the field the receiver kind of looked for it for a second. He was like, and then so Chambliss, and they were like, game's over. And in their post game didn't mention it once because it's not. No one's expecting them to call pass interference there. It was just like,
No.
Once the ball goes out of the back of the end zone, you're just praying for a miracle. So I don't think this is even controversial, to be honest. Two players shoving each other on a Hail Mary is every Hail Mary.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
and that's why. Well, and that's why you never see a Hail Mary caught clean. Yeah. It's always goes into a mass of humanity and they bat it up, and someone that's not in the scrum essentially catches it.
Right, so many bodies, it's hard to discern.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, you could discern because they were on the sideline. There's a camera there. They were both fouling each other. So the idea that they somehow should have just called it on Miami is idiotic. And actually, I'm not even sure on an offsetting, DJ, on an offsetting, would they even get an untimed down?
I don't believe so, no.
Because the game can end on an offensive penalty. It can't end on a defensive penalty. If it's offsetting, they usually replay the down. But I think the game might even have been over. I'm not sure. But what people
believe that
critic are talking about are like, oh, they should have just called a penalty on Miami, which is insane. You can't ignore a shove to the face mask and a push off. Come on. Yeah. And then say we're going to call the other contact. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. It's a stupid fake controversy. That was, by the letter of the law, it was offsetting pass interferences. But there's no, I mean, they're not calling that on a Hail Mary with everyone running into each other like that.
No.
And that's why the rules analyst on the Browns immediately came on. Like, when players are shoving each other like that in this type of situation, we're not calling it.
Yeah.
He's like, I think he called it mutual combat. It's like, we're not going to call a penalty on that. It's a Hail Mary. Like,
yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Agree with you, Ryan. Fire Marine can't say they would have replayed it down. Maybe I don't. So there's weird rules. I'll have to look it up. I'll take your word for it. I think that's correct, but there's weird rules on when you get an untimed down and when you don't. And I'm not sure if offsetting penalties counts because you don't get the time back. The game was over. So if it's just a defensive penalty, they get an untimed down. I'm not sure about offsetting.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, but while you do that, let's look at. But he might be right because I I think that makes sense that they would get an untimed down, like just do over, but I'm not sure. Because otherwise the defense, well, I mean, I don't know. So it's hard to strategically make the other team make a penalty to make it offsetting.
We can do a whole show on untimed downs.
Let's not do that. We already looked up the Broadcasting Act of 1961 to figure out why these games run weekdays. Let's address Ryan's thing by kind of walking through this game a little bit. So surprisingly, Ole Miss decided to receive.
The answer is yes.
They won wait, what happened? It is
the
an
answer is
down?
yes. It says in most situations, offsetting penalties result in replaying the down from the previous spot, effectively giving an untimed down to finish the play. If it's the end of the half of the game, but you don't get an extra untimed down, the down is just replayed with no clock changed. If both fouls happen on the last play, the period is extended for that untimed replay of the down.
Okay, so they would have basically replayed from the 35 if they'd thrown the flag, which they're never going to throw in that situation. So back to let's talk about how this game unfolded. So Ole Miss wins the toss and elects to receive, which is very rare. And I think to try to set the tone offensively, and they did the opposite. Went backwards, lost 7 yards. The Canes immediately marched the ball down the field. So this is going. If they're so this is going exactly according to plan. The Canes are running it down their throat, and then it gets to 3rd and 2, and I think someone said, "Tell Dawson." I'll find the comment. Tell Dawson to stop being cute. This was
if he hasn't learned by now, he's not going to learn between now and then.
Yeah, here it is, J Rock. So instead of just handing it off to Fletcher Marty, who had a huge role in this game, he goes Mally Cat, direct snap, loses Mally 2 yards.
Stuffed, unfortunately. I felt bad for Mally. He got.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where we were running well with physical runs. And he's not a physical runner, obviously. He's a jitterbug. And at that stage, they were still fresh. Like, that was not the play. The play was Fletcher, Marty up the middle. I think it was 3rd and 2.
Yeah.
Would have, at the very least, if you get a yard, you can even go for it. Then I was losing 2 yards. The Canes take the field goal, though. Immediately stop Ole Miss again. And then I would say this is the first controversy. I did hear that. I don't know what the situation is there, but yeah, I definitely heard that there was the flu going through the team. So this is the kind of the next controversy. Is the Malachi on the next possession is the one where Malachi caught the ball at midfield, got hit helmet to helmet. They called targeting, and then they picked the flag up. DJ, what did you think of that call? You're muted.
Probably for the better, honestly. But no, I hate the targeting call. I do think by the rule it was targeting, but I still didn't love the overall call. They shouldn't have picked the flag up, but I just hate the targeting call.
I think that this is colored by what they did to Xavier Lucas in the second half, though. I think when he goes helmet to shoulder and they throw him out of the game, and they somehow decide that straight helmet to helmet is not. It was some inconsistency there.
I don't understand. You have 10 million different ways to replay the play, and you still get the call wrong.
Yeah, and that's actually, that's going to have long ramifications because Xavier's out the first half of the championship game now. But so I don't see how you look at this one, which was much worse, and reverse it, and then.
Is there a clear explanation on why they reversed it?
I think they said he didn't launch or something. I thought helmet forcible contact to the head or neck area is on a defenseless player, which is what Malachi was. Is supposed to be. The rules expert came on and said this is not going to take long. This is clearly targeting, and then they overturned it. So I don't know. Honestly, they just say the call's been reversed.
What conference is the ref crew from?
These were your boys in the Big Ten, and they were pretty awful.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
And so, and then this is when the penalties. So right after that, this is where that weird. I still feel like the team was a little jittery.
Yeah,
this is where Carson Beck, looked like he had the chance to kind of scramble for some yards and threw that weird backwards pass to Fletch, which got away with. This isn't the playground, man.
I know. It's not NFL
Unfortunately,
street.
Fletch picked it up. It was a fumble. It's a fumble. If you look at his stat sheet, that's Carson Beck's fumble was when he threw that backwards pass into Fletch's feet. Fletch picked it up and got a few yards on that, and then false started and had to punt. So that was one where moved the ball pretty well. And the ejection, the kind of overturned penalties, what forced the Canes out of field goal range. Yeah, I mean, this is tough, right? Because they need it to be severe, and it's hard, right? Like I kind of tend to agree with Ryan. It's such a hard rule to enforce, and the penalty is punitive. But to be honest, I think if you're, let's say this wasn't an ejection, and if you're Ole Miss, I'm taking Malachi Tony's head off every time. Like, I'll take 15 yards to get that guy off the field, and that's how football is, right? And that's why it has to be a very harsh penalty. I don't think there's a right answer here. I think I had a better idea of what targeting was 4 years ago than they do now. When they tried to soften it, remember, it used to be very strict, and like all of these would have been ejections. And they tried to soften it, and I think it's just confusing.
Yeah, that kind of muddied the waters a little bit, so to speak.
Yeah, because like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there's no doubt that was targeting because anything to the head, and Xavier Lucas is no doubt targeting too, and all of that and now it's. But I think it has to be something harsh because otherwise they'll gladly knock the other team's players out of the game if it's just 15 yards.
Yeah,
and that's why it has to be harsh like that.
Yeah. I mean,
take that all day.
Honestly, Ryan, one of the things I've learned is to never listen to the studio rules experts because they are almost always wrong. They'll give long-winded explanations and then be wrong. I'd say probably 85% of the time.
Yeah, so at this point, the Canes punt. Ole Miss has -3 yards, and there's, the quarter ends after David Blade jumps off sides, as per usual. He did his standard. I don't understand it. He's right over the ball. Like, I don't understand why it happens. It's like we were making fun of it, but it's still frustrating. And then, of course, that first play, the second quarter, was the Lacey touchdown run, which kind of all of a sudden you're like, how are we losing this game?
That was such a weird run because he started off slow, and then it looked like he was just shot out of a cannon. It was crazy.
Yeah, and that was actually the one where he also, I think, tweaked his hamstring, so he missed a little bit of the game and came back in at the end. But he had actually, shout out to OJ, actually kind of caused that, because if you look, he pulled up and was going to jog in, and then OJ was chasing him down. He turned around, saw him, and sped back up, and I think that's when he tweaked his hamstring. But yeah, I do think that run was a product of the offsides, because it was going to be 2nd and 7. It goes to 2nd and 2. You can see we run blitzed.
Yeah.
Wes and Keontae blitzed, and they popped it. And it was a run blitz to try to. We had gaps everywhere, but they won up front and opened a lane up, and he accelerated. There's a great running back. He may have paid for it. The other thing we talked about this on one of these shows about how the Canes are actually one of the worst tackling teams in the country in terms of missed tackles, but they swarm to the ball. You could see that.
Yep.
All over this game, where
very
the
clearly.
First guy basically never made the tackle, but there was always like 2 or 3. And so when you do a run blitz and there's only one guy, that doesn't work. So because it was almost like, and so they popped that, and it was kind of very frustrating that at that point the Canes are trailing, having dominated the entire game. But as was the case in this game, the Canes, every time they needed to, fought back, immediately marched it down the field, 75 yards for a touchdown. This is also where this is the drive that the Canes lost Elijah Lofton on that. That was a 3rd and long, by the way, that throw to Lofton over the middle that he caught and got laid out and didn't come back in.
Yeah, he got popped.
But he held on to the ball, was huge because it extended the drive, and then the Canes ended up scoring that touchdown. So they're back up in front now. Ole Miss starting to get the offense going, but also this is where the penalties. So there was a roughing the passer call on Justin Scott where he clotheslined. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. He clotheslined Chambliss, which has always been a penalty even before they did the protect the quarterback rules, and that kind of started the drive up. ended up forcing a field goal, which they made. So now we're tied. And, I feel like there were multiple times the Canes could have won this game, and we're going to get into the first sequence, which is at the end of the first half. So the Canes take the ball, the tie game, and there's about 4.5 minutes left. So you're thinking, the Canes are good at ball possession. They dominate time possession in this game. Slowly drive the ball down the field. Last possession of the half, get a touchdown or a field goal going in the half. You get the ball first. Remember, Ole Miss bizarrely received the opening kickoff. So Canes are getting – you can get 2 possessions here and really extend the lead out because Ole Miss hasn't really stopped you yet. But lo and behold, if they didn't throw a bomb for a touchdown, the Keelan Marion, the Carson Beck kept the play alive with his legs, which is going to become a theme in this game, and hits Marion for the touchdown, which
great throw too.
Great throw, great route to keep it alive, and also who was running under? Someone was running underneath that pulled the safety up. I think it was Bauman.
Yeah,
DJ's dog agrees it was Bauman.
Yeah, my dog agrees it was Bauman.
He heard me shout out the tight end for drawing the defense, and he went.
I know that's why. Yes, that's why she's my dog right there. You should fight up about Bauman.
She's like, that was my guy right there.
Yeah, it was
Bauman. So that opened up the safety, came up to play Bauman, and that opened it up over the top. And so that touchdown, since they scored so quick, like, oh, we can potentially get the ball back here and score twice and get the ball back in the to start the second half and really put this game away. And defense did the job. 3 plays, 8 yards, 59 seconds. So now the Canes have the ball with about a minute and a half left. What do you think of this play sequence? So when we got the ball there, and let me tell you where the line is. It was kind of deep in our territory. It's at the 25. Okay. So I, in the stands, was like, the first thing we need to do because there's a minute 13 left, is run the football. Get the momentum going forward. We had 2 timeouts. Let the clock run a little bit just to make sure Ole Miss doesn't have time to get the ball back. Get a positive play. Get 4 yards, 5 yards. Then you can drive the ball. Field goal will be great here. You go up 10 at the half. You get the ball first this second half. They tried to drop back past blew a blocking assignment. I think it was Marty, but someone missed a blitz pickup and Carson just got leveled, like barely had time to drop back. And now you're screwed because now Ole Miss like, we're calling timeout now. Second and 18, like you're not getting this first down. We're gonna get the ball back, which then the Canes did the smart thing, which is run twice to make them use their timeouts. Because at that point, second and 18, what are you gonna do? You don't want to drop back deep there and turn the ball over or something. And so Ole Miss gets the ball back again. They'd started moving the ball at this point. They drove a little bit, and this is the first and probably the most costly. It was not the easiest one. There were easier ones later in the game, but probably the first huge dropped interception because Dylan Day, there was nothing between him and the end zone.
He caught it, he was gone.
Yeah, he was gone, and it would have been 24-10, and that was basically would have been the last play of the half too, and that would have just. Yeah, that was the first one.
Well, you asked me what did I think of that play sequence? The offensive.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought it was awful. And I didn't understand the drop. Like in that situation, run the ball, get what you can, make it at least second and manageable, or don't put your quarterback in harm's way against the Ole Miss defense that was getting pressure at that point in the game. Game management has kind of been terrible at times this year, and it seems like, and I don't know if you picked up on this too, but especially when you need a closing drive or a drive to end the quarter, it's almost like they forget what they're doing and they don't know what to do because it always comes out to be some sort of jumbled mess. And again, it showed up last night. I didn't like the way they approach that drive at all, because not only are you not moving the ball as effective as you should be, you're getting your quarterback leveled. So there you go.
Yeah, and I think I think one of the things, I think you hit on something that's true there, which is kind of ironic to say for a team that's about to play for the championship. Yeah. But
I mean, we're really nitpicking here.
But I do think not the best at situational football.
No.
And kind of reading I think we're very good, actually, if you look at it as playing the percentages. I think Mario said he hired, like, he's bleeding into analytics. He's got guys, and I think we heavily do that. And I think we're not nearly as good as at reading the way the flow of the game and whether it makes sense to employ the analytics at that point. And a good example is the end of the half against Ohio State. Just get to halftime at that point. You're dominating, you're up. Don't give them any momentum. It's 14-0. But analytics say call timeout, you can get the ball back and score, and they almost scored. They missed the field goal.
Yeah,
in this case, I think analytics is saying to throw the ball, get up the field and score. I think just getting a drive starter, running it, make sure some time ticks off. You still have 2 timeouts, so you'll have plenty of time. You got a senior quarterback that can manage the end sequence there and make sure you get a field goal off. I don't think we needed to get that aggressive there with the lead and the flow of the game, and the fact that their offense had started to pick it up a bit. And so, they went down, and then, of course, after we dropped that interception, kicked a field goal to cut it to 17. So it's 17-13 at the half. And this is where the bizarre third quarter happened. So drove all the way down the field, several penalties, mistakes, and the ultimate mistake was the missed field goal at the end. So drove it 9 plays, 40 yards, didn't score. And when people were saying like, well, and we said this too, Ole Miss is like a much better version of the teams we struggle with, like SMU, that they get the ball out quick, and we basically did not pressure Chambliss at all. After the first quarter,
I was gonna say the first quarter they were getting home to him. After that, it was
he's amazing. By the way, like we're gonna have to talk about their offense, but and how good they are. But that's the style of team we struggle with. But we also took a shotgun and blew our foot off against SMU, and we tried to do that in this game. This drive was 100% penalty killed, and it's unfortunate, like just the penalties, and then gets into a situation where it's not a long field goal. It was 51 yards, but Carter Davis is a huge leg. He obviously misses it. Just bricked it to the right, never really had a chance. And then Ole Miss gets the ball, drives down. They miss a field goal. So we're sitting there. Both teams drove it.
It evened out at the end of the day.
So you're kind of sitting there like, all right, reprieve. And I felt like it was the first time in a while we actually had momentum, because everything had kind of they'd been getting the breaks. We'd been dominating the game, but they'd been getting the breaks. Like we'd been dropping interceptions. We had, had those opportunities. There were multiple dropped interceptions on that drive, by the way. The first one,
frustrating.
The first one was tough. The first one was tough because Jacoby Thomas made a great play to lay out on that, but it hit him in the hands. You want him to catch that. The second one, that I want to say was O'Connor tipped, and then it bounced off of like 3 of our players' hands, ultimately almost like wedged into Wes's lap, and he somehow still didn't catch it. But we got away with that one because they missed the field goal. And then the next drive, and this is the one. Is this the one with the flea flicker, or was that earlier? This might have been earlier, but
that was earlier, but. I had the same.
This is the Inez. This is the Inez false start drive, which ultimately puts us. So it was 3rd and 7 at their 19 after we mostly running, some passing, got the ball down there, and Inez false starts to make it 3rd and 12. So what do you think of this play call? Because so the sequence ends with that interception. The ball was batted up in the air, and obviously, I'm a big Carson Beck homer, and I feel vindicated after last night, to be honest. But
I wasn't even going to go there.
I think in this situation, I think in this situation, while you can defend, that the ball got tipped and shit happens. I didn't like that play call, or that he was trying to fit the ball in. Like, I think that needed to be. It's 3rd and 12. You need to get paid off on this drive. Yeah. You're at their 24. It's an easy field goal. It's 41 yards. I was like, there was single coverage on Dams outside. Just throw the jump ball. If he catches it, great. He's great at that. If not, we'll kick the field goal. Yeah. I wouldn't have been messing with the middle of the field there. And all the route tree was in the middle of the field. And he tried to fit that. Like, it would have probably been incomplete if it hadn't gotten tipped. But I don't need you thrown into a tight window there in a 17-13 game when we just missed a field goal. We need to get paid off on this drive.
This was the Carson Beck that we saw early in the season, and we were happy that he kind of got away from that habit. But I didn't like that play call or that decision at all.
It was the
You
one
know,
bad decision he made, I feel. Well, that
yeah,
and that weird
yeah, he
battle
had
with
a really
Justin
good game
Fletch that
overall,
we got
but that
away. No,
decision,
he
I
was
mean,
amazing. He's the MVP of the game, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was a that was a bad decision that also was just, again, we're sitting here dropping the easiest interceptions, and their guys laying out on a deflected ball that's like spinning weird and catching it. I'm like, are you serious? He caught that? We've
Well,
dropped every
oftentimes it's not
interception.
the team that dominates the game; it's the team that gets the breaks. And luckily, the team that dominated the game ended up winning this one.
Yeah, but that was like, I cannot believe he caught that after we dropped all those interceptions. Like, really, they're gonna catch that? We can't catch it when it lands on us. Yeah, I mean, I would have thrown a fade just because it's a safe route. You know, if you catch it, you get the touchdown. Because it's hard to get 12 yards over the middle at that spot on the field. Is hard to get. Now, we did that several times on the game-winning drive. He fired it in there. In this situation, though, again, this is why I say situational football. Would have liked to have just thrown something to the edge, like jump ball.
because the
There was
edges were
single
there all
coverage on
night.
that side.
I felt like,
And then just throw it out there. If we catch it, great. If we don't, we kick the field goal. Like I don't. It wasn't imperative that we convert that first down in that situation, but obviously got tipped up in the air. They made a great diving interception, and then they went down, kicked another field goal. This was another one where they threw a deep ball, and Jacoby Thomas made a great play to recover from underneath and make a play on the ball, tipped it up in the air, and I don't know how Ethan O'Connor didn't intercept that. He basically caught it. In fact, I watched the game back later. Fowler shouted intercepted, and they's like, oh no, wait, he dropped it. Like, it was so in his hands, it almost stuck to him. And I just don't know how he dropped that, but that then ended up. So now now it's 17-16, end of the quarter. The Canes have driven twice in the third quarter and didn't get paid off on it. And now they will drive it again and not score. This was the drive where they got out across midfield, so they got into Ole Miss's territory for a third time, and then Beck got sacked twice in a row. So 2nd and 7. I don't know if did they talk about this in the game broadcast, because I don't recall. I should have paid more attention when I was watching it back. But it looked like, so this is the one where Fletch ran for 3 yards. We're at the Mississippi 45-yard line, and it was the one where the blitz came off the edge and Fletch kind of half blocked him, but didn't, and got sacked and basically lost 9 yards and derailed the drive. Did we snap that early? Because Ole Miss was not down in their stances, and it didn't look like our line was really ready. It felt to me like he snapped it when we weren't lined up right, like we weren't ready for it, and Fletch definitely like kind of didn't really fully block. It was weird. It was a weird one.
They did say that he didn't. They did say that he didn't fully block, but they didn't mention anything about the play itself. But
we quick snapped it for sure, because like their linemen weren't down in their stances yet, and I think we tried to get them, but I don't think the offensive line was ready to block either, because everyone just stood there. J-Rock is saying we thought there was a whistle. I think the ball was just snapped early, because a lot of the linemen didn't move. It was a weird play that derailed that drive, so we had to punt. And then we get the personal foul drive for Ole Miss, where multiple personal fouls the Canes include. This is where Xavier Lucas got ejected, but this was huge for the Canes to hold them to a field goal inside the 5-yard line there. So now this is Ole Miss finally took the lead, first time since the first quarter, and then this is where the game went nuclear.
That's part of the game.
Touchdown, Canes win. That's the rest of the game. But 4 plays, 75 yards, obviously ended with the Malachi play on the tunnel screen. I guess, what'd you think of that play, the play call, the blocking? What'd you think of that drive sequence? There's 4 plays, 75 yards. One penalty aided it, which was the one where they interfered with Marion on the deep ball on first down, which he would have scored a touchdown on if they didn't. Thoughts on that drive, GJ, that response? Not very un-Miami, like 4 plays, 75 yards, a minute 56 is not the football we used to.
I was shocked. That's what I thought about that drive initially. Same reason as you were. That's very not slow and deliberate, but boom, boom, boom. And I thought that was the perfect response drive in order to kind of not even necessarily sling momentum back in their favor, but just kind of even out the momentum. And for all the frustration that we might have had earlier in the game, I thought that drive in particular, really kind of really kind of showed that we could, come back quick and not have to, kind of belabor the point, so to speak. And they were talking about on the broadcast early in the game that Miami has the talent to be able to, offset some of these penalties and score quick and stuff like that. And on that particular drive, we saw what they could do when they score quick.
Yeah, and so we got the ball with like 7 minutes left, and I'm thinking, all right, this is a Mario Cristobal 5-minute drive here. And going in, I was like, we need a touchdown because their kicker can make it from midfield. So if they get to midfield,
is very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, he got one. He missed one off the upright and got one banked in. So his accuracy was not there. I think he got a little bit nervous after he missed the first one. The second one, he hit it off the upright again, but he had the leg to, I don't know, that one he made from 58 or whatever. I mean, they just had to they could have tried it if the ball was touching midfield as the line of scrimmage, they could have tried. So it's like a field goal is not going to do. It'll give us the lead, but they basically need 2 first downs and they can try a field goal back. So I'm thinking we need a ball control, like 6-minute touchdown drive here, and then play defense for like a minute. Because at this point, I knew our defense was toast. Like they were gassed, and Chambliss was on fire, and he's awesome. And the receivers, we talked about this, like their third and fourth receivers are really good. Like that guy Lee we talked about on the 6 rings. I was like, that guy was all SEC last year, and he's kind of fallen on the peg. Like it doesn't matter which of their receivers are out there; they're all really talented. And once they started clicking, it was like we can't. And we had we were depleted in the second. Like we can't guard them right now. And
I will say I was happy that they started clicking later in the game and not immediately starting.
Oh, right. But at that point, we kind of knew. I'm like, I don't think we could really cover them. So like, we get a touchdown with taking off all of the time, and then play defense and use the whole length of the field to try and hold them out of the end zone. Instead, like you said, we scored immediately, and then I'm like, okay, there's so much time left. There's going to be multiple possessions, so I didn't even really get that amped up when Malachi scored, just because it was like we still. I know they're going to move the ball. The question is whether they get it all the way into the end zone or not. And
3 minutes in Ole Miss world is like 15 minutes regular time.
Oh yeah, and at that point they were clicking. So like there was no. I wasn't like thinking, oh, we're going to get 3 and out, or oh, we're going to I was like, we got to somehow, stop them from getting 4 plays in a row. We're going to have to turn them over on downs at some point in the sequence. And the closest we got was there was a dubious pass interference on Jabari Anton on 3rd down, which would have forced them into a 4th down, which they would have gone for. That was the closest we came to stopping them on this drive, but they marched down touchdown in 151. And then, of course, we get the ball back with 3 minutes and some change, and drive for the ages. 15 plays we ran. 15 plays, 75 yards into the end zone. Carson Beck with his Heisman moment a month after they award the Heisman, but he made all the throws on that drive. Several huge 3rd down throws, as someone mentioned, or Keelan Marion. I got the game wrong. Who's the X factor? I said against Ohio State was the next game. He was definitely the X factor here. But he and Carson got in a rhythm, and Carson Beck firing the ball in there. Couple of really notable sequences here. Obviously, there were several big plays, but there was a 3rd and 7 to CJ Daniels where he extra efforted and stretched the ball out to get the 1st down, was huge. And then a 3rd and 10 to Keelan Marion. Really good play design. I know we've been kind of talking about Dawson, getting to trick play happy. Really good play design. Ran Malley underneath on an in-out route and kind of drew the eye level. That just enough to open the window up, and Carson Beck threw the best pass of his life on that strike right in between the traffic into Marion's chest.
He loves right on those risky passes, but they work.
I mean, that one he had to do it. It was 3rd and 10. That was the play. It was open. It was in a tight window, but he squeezed it. Perfect throw. He fired. That was a missile, which Marion caught. And then very similar throw. I don't know what the hell this. So now, okay. So here, let's talk a little bit of the sequence here. So Ole Miss actually starts. So at this point, that pass to Marion was, let's see. Okay, that Plastamere is 11 yards down to the Ole Miss 8. Ole Miss calls timeout. So there were 31 seconds left. What did you think of them calling timeouts here?
In terms of just 31 seconds left.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's 31 seconds left. We only had 2 timeouts. I mean, I don't think there's really a universe in which we don't kick a field goal at least. So I was surprised they were trying to
Yeah,
save like crumbs because I
yeah,
think that actually helped us because it
yeah.
allowed us
No,
to save our timeouts
because because it just gave us more time to try to get the
to try to get a
ball.
touchdown. That's the way
Yeah.
I viewed it. I was like, you're giving us more time. But I don't know why they were doing that, but
I
that
get that
definitely
they
helped
wanted to try
us.
to save time for themselves, but in that situation, it didn't make sense to me.
In that situation for them, like we're gonna lose this game to get a touchdown, most likely, right? Even if we threw a touchdown the next play, there's 30 seconds left. Like you're probably not getting a touchdown. I mean, they almost did an 18, but like you're probably not getting a touchdown that little time. So, your goal there is let's keep them out of the end zone. And calling timeouts to put more time for us to score the touchdown doesn't make a lot of sense. They used a couple of them though. So then we did after that pass to Marion, they called the timeout. And then, well, actually, the play before that pass to Marion, we got to talk about. So we had gotten down to their 18.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And this is the one where what do you think happened? This is the one where at that point I was like, yeah, run the ball. We got 2 timeouts. Let's move it in closer and then punch it in here. And there was 36 seconds left, but we ran it, but it was. Do you know the miscommunication was actually a design quarterback run with Beck following Marty Brown into the fucking. What was that play call? We lost a yard, but
that looked like me when I'm trying to play video games. That's what that looked like. That just was that
push the
looked like
wrong
it is.
button. Like what was that?
That's not a play that I would have.
That's not a play we've run. Like, and so it was a play. It was a fake to Marty, and then Carson tried to follow him through the hole that wasn't really there, ran into him, and fell over. And I don't.
That's just putting your quarterback in an unnecessarily in harm's way. If he's gonna run, at least have him have the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird. But then they called timeout, fortunately, so that saved us some time. And then the next one was that big throw to Marion to get down to the 8. So then we run it down to the 3 and call timeout. So here's the situation. Get your take on this. So there are 24 seconds left. We have 1 timeout left. It's second down. Now, with 1 timeout, we basically could run it 1 more time because you will not have time to run your field goal unit on if you get tackled in bounds after that. So we come out of the timeout and we call a pass play, which obviously Carson Beck escapes the pocket and runs into the end zone for the touchdown. But we were debating, and I don't have a good answer, so I want to get your take on it. What would you have called? And obviously the call play didn't actually work. Carson Beck ad-libbed the touchdown. But what would you have done that? Because we were on the fence. It's the 3-yard line. The way we've been running, like if we hand it off, we're probably going to score a touchdown. But if we get down to like the 1, we have to use our last timeout, and now there would have been probably about 18 seconds was what ended up after the touchdown. And now you're like, oh, we're a yard away, but we can't really run it because if we run it, we're not gonna have time to get the field goal unit out there. What would you have done on that second down play? Because I think that's why they threw it. I think if we had another timeout, they just run it.
That's tough to say. I probably would have run it because throwing the ball in that tight area down in the red zone is extremely risky. So I probably would have just run it and hope for the best on the next set of plays. But that's a tough call because you're kind of juggling your time out, and you do have a superb athlete in Carson Beck, but I wouldn't have called a passing play there. I probably just would have ran it because I'm just too afraid to throw that close to the end zone. Such a tight window there, and he can throw in tight windows, but man,
yeah, I don't.
It's tough.
I mean, yeah, the only pass I would have called is some kind of a fade that's like either the receiver catches it or it's incomplete, but it looked like everyone was covered and he escaped obviously and ran into the end zone. They were in man, they weren't in zone, which is interesting because I think we were probably play called for zone because most teams play zone down there just because there's not a lot of places to throw in it. If you play zone, then there's not really the gaps to throw into, and so it's hard, like you said. But man, you can actually they're man beaters down there. But I'm sure we called a play expecting zone, and they switch it up on us. But that's why there was no one looking at Carson because they're all focused on their man coverage. The play worked. Yeah, it was a tough one. I do wonder if we got into a situation. So we still had the one timeout if he like threw it away or something. If it didn't work what we would have done on third down because we could have then run it and called timeout. But I almost wonder if you get into a situation there where you run it on second down, hopefully get a positive play, hopefully score a touchdown, obviously. But if you don't and you get to the one, you kind of say like, all right, let's just win the game. Line up. Assuming it takes about roughly the same amount of time you call timeout, 18 seconds left, no timeouts, ball on the 1, third down, you can get 2 snaps off.
Yeah,
so I would have said, you know what, run the ball again on third down. If you get stuffed, line up immediately, run it on fourth down. That's your ball game. One of those at the end zone.
Yeah,
because then
that's my thinking on it.
Yeah, I think that's what you would have had to do if you had run on second down. Because without the timeouts, I think they went the other route of conserving the timeouts of the option to run on third down, call timeout, and kick the field goal. It's a tough one. I don't think there was a right answer there.
No, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing, but
yeah, but obviously Carson Beck, legendary drive, capped off with the legendary that escape into the end when he it looked like, oh man. On TV, I don't think it was as close as it looked like in the stands. We were sitting opposite side of the camera angle. We were actually on that side of the field, on like the 30-yard line, opposite side. It looked like that defensive end was like right next to him. Then when I watched the replay
on TV, it didn't look like that at all.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't that close. But I thought he was like running right into him, and he was not. It was not. And then great job by CC to get back on and do the backside protection. That's why there was no one near him at all. He hustled back from the interior line and blocked that guy, which is why he couldn't chase Carson down. So that was, but it looked a lot closer to me. Like for a split second, I was like, he's gonna run right into that guy, and it actually wasn't that close to it. So.
It's one of those things where you like see athletes on the field on the television, and you think they're fast. Then you see them in real person and realize that they're fast. It just looks like a jog to you, like one of those types of things.
Yeah. He looked closer than he actually was, but so yeah, Carson obviously scores a legendary touchdown, and then at this point, okay, there's 18 seconds left. I'm like, and we have so many traumas, but I would say one thing that we are not, and this is universal, right? We don't, in these end game situations, we don't just stop people. They tend to be able to move the ball. I mean, going back to that SMU game, there was obviously some, that roughing the passer was egregiously bad, but they had already moved it out to midfield. Like we don't really, so I'm like, the way Chambliss is playing these receivers.
Yeah.
They could definitely get in. And then after that first down, like where he threw a rifle into traffic and sliding catch, I'm like, that happened.
Yep. No, they're good.
And then it's like, uh-oh. And then they still had one timeout left that they had saved. So they completed the next pass, got to the 35, and then obviously the end sequence of the incompletion. But yeah, I did not feel safe even with 18 seconds because like their quarterback's so good, their offense is so good, their receivers are excellent. We're out of DBs essentially. And again, even healthy, like we don't do a good, for whatever reason, the only time we really clamped someone down was Notre Dame. Those end sequences, like A&M moved it all the way to our 5. Like we haven't really done that. Like we're gonna clamp
NC State too. Didn't we do a pretty good job with NC State or no? I thought we did.
NC State we blew out. It wasn't competitive. I'm talking about these end of game. Okay, we need a stop. We've made stops. We obviously made the stop against A&M. But we tend to not do the 3. Like I think we would have made the stop against SMU if they didn't give them a free first down on BS call, but they still moved it.
Yeah.
Like we don't really tend to play a little bit conservative in our coverage. But that throw on first down and that catch was just a ridiculous timing and missile and great catch that, I mean, they made a great play on it. But that's because, I mean, you knew the caliber. We defended. I think we had the defense set up right there. They're just that. I mean, their offense is that. It was if you look at their numbers, they're top 3 in like every statistical category for a reason. And like that was just a great play on their part. And then the next one we then played softer because we didn't want them to be able to get out of bounds and they wanted to throw underneath. They could, which they did to get closer for the Hail Mary. And then obviously the Hail Mary we defended fine and got out of there. But yeah. It quickly exploded into a back and forth game. 3 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes. But as Len Norris Murray says, the U came out on top. Whew. Exhale.
Came out on top. I thought Chris Fowler did a good job calling the fourth quarter there, especially. I always like to hear him call college football broadcasts, and I thought he brought good enough energy for both teams on each touchdown. So good.
Yeah,
Good on
watching
him.
it back is, I do think, so obviously this is a huge win, biggest in every time we win a game now, it's biggest in 20, 23 years. This is now the biggest in 23 years. But I do think it's important we led the show for this, so maybe we'll wrap with this. That look, it wasn't perfect. A lot of mistakes. I feel like we dropped more interceptions in this game than the entire year. And won anyway. And you got one more win to go now. And I think this is a game that this is the SMU game. This is the Louisville game, right? It was actually them both mashed together. Couldn't get the stop when we needed against SMU. Penalties killed us. Lost the game. And then here, and then Louisville, had the ball, chance to drive and win the game through the pick. Here, finished the drive. And I think, if anything, this game showed me more than like Ohio State and Texas A&M, because look, I love our team. We make a ton of stupid penalties, and that doesn't just stop happening because the playoffs started. So like, we did the things that cost us to lose games, and we won anyway. The dropped interceptions was a new one. Like, I don't recall us really having an issue with that this year, but boy did we yesterday. But the penalties and like the ill-timed decisions on that, and the driving and not getting paid off on points, that is all.
That's par for the course.
Yeah, that's kind of stuff we've seen all year. So the fact that we were able to like kind of have those, that's. I mean, everything's relative. Again, we're talking about a national championship playing team, but that's the bad version of this team. The fact that showed up in large parts of this game and we won anyway against, again, a top 4 team. Those are all like, that is hugely positive because, of course, we got one game left to play, and playing through that adversity, playing through your mistakes, and winning anyway. This was not the front-running performance like there was against Ohio State. This was not, A&M was a little bit more jabbing back and forth, but still, like, this wasn't that. This was, hey, we're dominating, but not really reflecting on the score, on the scoreboard. Hey, we're dropping interceptions. We're making stupid plays that are killing us, and we buckle down and won the game. And that there are going to be moments in whoever we play. There's going to be moments in this championship game where they are gonna, they're gonna have adversity, and the fact that they're able to overcome that and finish this, huge going forward. Because again, those are the mistakes that every look for the last 2 years, really, right? Obviously, last year's team was not nearly as good as this one because the defense was terrible. But you still look at those games and you're like, made this mistake and that mistake, and it lost us the game. You look at the 2 this year, it's like, oh God, the 4 interceptions and the JoJo passing the ball to the SMU defense, and we were going to blow them out in the first quarter, and then like all the penalties. A lot of those things, JoJo had a big drop here. Like, a lot of those things happened, won anyway. And I think that speaks to the character of the team, the growth of this team. You're not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to be your best. And you win anyway. And that is why these Miami Hurricanes are going to the national championship.
Is there anyone?
Hard to say it.
Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, is there anyone that you would rather play from tonight's game?
No. I think they're similar. I think Ole Miss was obviously they're not exactly the same, but I think Ole Miss was the outcast in terms of just different stylistically. The rest of these teams are, same thing if we had played Georgia, punch you in the face. That's what Indiana does. That's what Oregon is not Chip Kelly's Oregon. They are a power team that, protect the ball, run, and play defense, just like Miami, just like Indiana. Ole Miss was kind of an outlier of a style. So I think we're going to get a similar game from each of them. Obviously, Indiana went and won at Oregon earlier this year. was competitive, but they won there. They're probably up to this point the best team in the country. They haven't lost yet, and they've won at Oregon, beat Ohio State, neutral field, blew out Alabama. Illinois is ranked. They beat them by like 100 points. What Indiana has done this year is, those top 5 type teams, they beat both the ones they played, none of them at home, by the way, and anyone else pretty much, they beat the shit out of.
Yeah.
So, and they played other ranked teams, and they beat the shit out of them. So, like, they've been a monster of a team. But I think this football's about matchups, right? And I think they're both similar matchup-wise. They both have NFL first-round pick quarterbacks, basically. Like, it's very similar. I don't think one versus the other is. I don't know if there's really much difference in terms of how the Canes will view this game. What about you?
I feel like in terms of style, Indiana matches up a little bit better with Miami because, like you said, they're similar. There's a lot of similarities. I feel like Oregon can play a little bit faster, but I would much rather play Indiana just because I like the way that they match up with Miami. And Mendoza coming home is an interesting storyline leading up to the game for sure.
Well, there's going to be a storyline because it's going to be Mario against Oregon otherwise. So
true. The one thing I don't like is we have to wait 10 days. That's what I don't like.
Yeah. You have to wait 10 days, but we'll at least know the opponent tonight.
True.
I guess the last question on that, and then we'll kind of start to wrap up here. But what did so what do you think there's any factor at all that as Cane Lake, and I'll answer this question about Glendale too, but we're back at Hard Rock. It's a home game for us. I know it's technically neutral site, but don't comment on the ticket price. That's because it's local. Like that's gonna be a home game. Like whatever was allotted to the road team will be their fans, and everything else is gonna be Miami people. But Oregon just played in the stadium. They played in the stadium more recently than we have. Is that any kind of a advantage? Is less of an adjustment for them maybe than Indiana? Obviously for the Canes, it's a home. Like they're very comfortable playing in the stadium. Although I think they'll be on the other sideline, which will be weird. But but do you think that helps Oregon a little bit that they're used to the stadium? Because you walk into these, and that's why I'm going to also use to answer that question from Cane Lake. But do you think there's any kind of and we're talking about on the margins here, obviously. Something like, oh, well, we played here there. But do you think that helps them at all in terms of prep? They're kind of comfortable with everything, the facilities, what they're going to do pregame wise, what the stadium looks like, the sight lines, the quarterback is comfortable with the play clock, location, all that stuff.
Maybe a little bit. I would say obviously it probably helps Miami more that they don't really have to go anywhere. So no travel, practice at your place, play at your place, play in front of your home fans, and there will be a lot there, I can guarantee you. So maybe it helps Oregon a little bit, but if anything, this just obviously helps Miami more. I mean, it must be so nice. Has a team ever played at home in a national championship game?
Not in the playoff era. The Canes won 3 national championships in the Orange Bowl.
I was trying to remember if there was a playoff era team that.
No, and actually, I was talking about it with my friend. By the way, shout out to Glenn. My buddy went to the game with me, and his wife's DJ. The Cub has been acquired, but it was we were lied to at one of the counters saying they didn't have the souvenir cups. What? So I was like, well, crap. And then Glenn's wife Stacy acquired one, and it is currently in my bag, and it'll be headed to your place. So
thank you, Stacy, Glenn, and Vish for my cup.
so yeah, but we were talking about this. I think we're actually the only team that could technically play a home championship game now, because I mean, obviously these aren't realistic that UCLA would win the national championship, but they did move out of the Rose Bowl, so they even technically, when it's in the Rose Bowl, would not be playing in their home field. I think we're the only ones that play in a venue that would actually host. I don't think anyone else. If you think about the major, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a bowl game, right? It was in SoFi a few years ago in LA. Like, that's an NFL stadium.
Yeah.
The championship game is not a bowl game. It's it's like it's just an awarded site like the Super Bowl. But I think we're the only now FBS team really that plays their home games at a stadium that's of the quality that would host a championship game. So I think we're the only ones that could do this, because you think about like Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl. it can be a de facto home game for Georgia or whatever, but it's not actually their home field. I think we're the only ones that have that.
It's not going to be a home game for whoever we play in 10 days. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then, because I think UCLA was the last other one that actually plays their home games in a venue that could host, and they are
terrible.
They moved out of there, so
and they're terrible. So they're probably
well, I mean, but even from a technical standpoint, right? But yeah, we have won 3 of our 5 championships at home in the Orange Bowl, so this would not be the first time we've done that. But in the playoff era, yeah.
Playoff era is a whole different animal.
Yeah. People aren't going to be making fun of us not having a campus stadium anymore. Now we get to play the championship game at home.
Yeah, that is true.
So just real quick, we can have my answering Canes Lake's question. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It's out there. It's like, obviously you fly into Phoenix, but it's a suburb. It's about 20. I'm in downtown Phoenix right now. But it's about 25, 30 minutes from here. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's a suburb. Stadium itself was nice. Obviously not as nice as Hard Rock or Jerry World that we were in last week. But it's an NFL stadium, so it's nice. We had really good seats, given that we got them from the school, so we didn't have to pay scalper prices. They were up high, but we could see great from there. It was on the 30-yard line, so that was good. Great experience.
Warren Sapp get his tickets.
Oh my God, that guy. I feel like he could afford anyway, but
yeah, I think so.
I mean, I get it though. You're like, I'm a Hall of Famer. You can't hook me up. There's a status thing too, right? There's a status thing too. Yeah, well, let's see. We gotta finish the job here. But yes, I have been at every game this year, and I will be at the last one. So we'll see if we can finish the job here. But yeah, that is a game that it's for the history books. We're talking to some Ole Miss fans afterwards, they're gonna talk about this game for years. It was a classic.
Yeah.
And you don't really realize that in the moment when it's your team playing. But afterwards, you're kind of like, man, we witnessed something special.
You kind of just black out a little bit, and you just kind of.
Well, you're so locked in on you only care about your team. Look, I mean, you're like, yes, rest, make a bad call against them. I don't care. I want to just win, right? You lose your head a little bit and don't realize that, you're seeing the ball go back and forth with 2 quarterbacks playing at a ridiculous level.
Yeah.
And really just making big play after big play. They put their team back in front. It's just yo-yoing like that. You don't realize that in the moment. When you just step back and reflect, you're like, wow. That was one hell of a game. And the Canes came out on top, and they've got one more game left to be played. That game will be at Hard Rock Stadium, a neutral site venue for all the marbles, the national championship against Oregon or Indiana. That game is obviously decided tonight in the Peach Bowl. DJ, you got anything else for all these fine people that joined us on this 436 of you, believe it or not, on this Friday morning? That is what my count gives me. The asylum will be in full effect.
The asylum. I don't know what all 436 of you are doing on this Friday, but I appreciate you all tuning in. And will we have a show on national championship game day? Or do you think
I don't think so? Because no, we gotta push it. We can't do a show during.
No, I'm just wondering.
That's when it would be. Our show is during the game, because we've done that before. Because it's always on a Monday and we're never playing, so we do shows during the championship game normally. But obviously this time,
maybe we'll get the group together.
We'll talk offline. I think maybe a Sunday night instead of a Monday night would make sense to do a day before 6 rings. We'll get with Jazz and make sure he's available, and then we'll fire one out. We're obviously gonna do our shows, but
I guess the last time Miami was even this good, I was 7 years old. I'm now 31, so this is a whole new kind of experience for me. I've been through the really shitty teams. I've been through the rebuilding teams. I haven't really been through a really good team like this one, and it's just nice to be a part of all of this excitement.
Yeah, actually, the last time I was in Phoenix, they did call pass interference after the game was over. So I was glad they didn't do it this time.
Let's not go there. New vibes.
So I have experienced the highs, and I've experienced the downfall, and now the rise back up. One game left to go.
Last time I had anything to do with Phoenix, David Tyree made his helmet catch to ruin the Patriots' perfect season.
Phoenix
So.
has not been good to us. But,
yeah, not at all.
This time it came through this time. But
So
yeah,
now we have a good memory to go home from Phoenix.
Yeah, DJ and I will be back Sunday though for sure to do our Sunday morning show.
Yeah.
Sundays 10 a.m. If you're new to the feed, we will be with you. We'll have an opponent to preview at that point, so we'll talk about that. Six Rings Kane show, our weekly show with Jazz, Blue, DJ, myself on Monday the 12th. I got to give you dates now because we got a big Monday coming the week after that. So we will most certainly preview, be talking about this game, get Blue and Jazz's take on it, and also obviously previewing the championship game. And then I'm going to try and get something on. Oh, he did. I did have a phone call with our co-host Jazz, and it was hard to get details because there were people like yelling at. We were trying to get McDonald's. There was a whole thing going on. There was crosstalk happening, but I'm pretty sure he broke his coffee table. We'll get more details on that on Monday on the 6 Rings Kane show. We will lead in with that, so definitely tune in right at the start, 8:30 on Monday. We can figure out if Jazz's coffee table survived or not. I'm hearing it did not, though.
Oh no!
But if the Canes did survive, yeah, we'll figure out. We'll do something the Sunday before. That the game on Monday, DJ. Maybe we'll, instead of our show, we'll do a big 6 Rings instead or something on that Sunday. But we'll figure that out. But definitely this Sunday, the next show on the network will be DJ and I. We will be previewing whoever the opponent is.
And maybe by then, Jazz will have a new coffee table, and he can christen this new coffee table with a national championship potentially.
Yes, that is true. That's true. Yes, let's go. One more win to go. Yeah, let's turn Hard Rock into an asylum one last time.
Absolutely.
Gone all over the country to get back home and finish the deal.
That's going to be electric.
Oh, that's going to be something. All right, DJ, again, thanks for hanging out with me on this Friday morning. Everyone, thanks for listening. Again, we'll be back Sunday morning, 10 a.m., previewing either Oregon or Indiana in the national championship game. Signing off from Phoenix. Go Canes.
Go Canes.